Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. State-sponsored conspiracy podcast is back. I'm here with my co-host, whose code name for today will be... I didn't think of one. What have you got?
What do you mean? How hard is it, with all your notes, to just write down 2 code names? That's all you have to do.
You will be Michael.
No.
You will be...
I'm gonna be Poison Truck again.
Okay, I will be Diamond Panther.
Okay.
So I'm back. Poison Truck is back. And the reason we were gone for so long, I'll explain this at the beginning before we get into today's topic. Basically, as we've explained before, we receive funding for the federal government for this podcast. This is what you might call a PSYOP, or a psychological operation, for those of you guys who aren't totally hip to the, internet lingo. But basically, our boss, he was responsible for the budget and everything. And so he had to go in front of Congress. Obviously, this was not on C-SPAN, okay? But he had to go in front of Congress and attempt to explain how he was spending $4 million producing this podcast. And he did not really adequately do that, according to Congress.
And according to us, because we're not seeing like a dime of that. $4 million? That's the budget?
Apparently, yeah. We don't know what he was doing.
One of our mics has been broken for months.
We didn't get money for the mic. We have no knowledge of his actions, and so they were going to shut down the program completely. But they were able to rework some things. We've had budget cuts. The intern is gone. And our old boss, sadly, actually, for totally unrelated reasons to this whole drama, he actually drowned while on a boating trip. And so he's dead. And this was a guy that we personally knew.
Yeah, we were in the area at the time. So when we got the call, we came as fast as we could. So we were really upset to hear about him drowning, and we didn't have anything to do with it, but we were really sad about that.
Yeah, it was sad, and it was it's sad because he was an older guy, but he was very active because he used to be in the Navy, so he would take his boat out all the time. He would swim every day.
Didn't do him much good in the end.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what. Maybe he hit his head, or
we thought maybe that oh, he's dead now. Who's gonna be in charge of us? Oh, maybe we're gonna be in charge. Maybe we're gonna start getting the $4 million ourselves. No, they replaced them immediately. Our scheme did not. I mean, we're sad he's gone, and we're happy to have our new boss, Greg.
Greg, we don't like Greg. How about this? Think for the listeners. This is all like insider baseball stuff. For the listeners, just think about it like this. Our boss is Joe Biden. The same boss that you have if you're an American citizen. How about that?
For now.
Until November, this is our sworn boss. Now, anyway, now that we have that out of the way to explain our lengthy absence, there is another thing to explain, and that is we're talking about another black conspiracy this episode. Now, last time I said we're moving on from our black conspiracy theories, and we're returning to other stuff. But we are not actually doing that. We are very much back to black people conspiracies. Because today we are talking about Black Israelites.
Guys, he's been really wrapped up in all this stuff. I don't know. He's gone off the deep end a bit.
I would like to start off this episode, before we talk about the Black Israelites, I would like to read some YouTube comments from the episode we posted about the Nation of Islam, specifically the founder, Wallace Fard Muhammad.
I don't even know who that is. That was 4 months ago.
But we got way more views and comments on this than like anything else we've posted with the new podcast.
So you're pandering. That's why we're still on this Black Israelite thing, because you're pandering. You don't want to do aliens or portals anymore. You just want to do, I want to make fun of black people. I'm going to make fun of stupid black people who think they're Jewish.
The first half of what you said is correct.
that you're racist?
No. The first part where you said pandering. That's the part that's correct.
Okay.
But actually, this episode is going to contain some white people stuff too. So brace yourself.
Every episode is white people stuff. You around.
So this is the first comment that we got on the Nation of Islam video. Let's see, this was posted by Nume Hamidullah. Said, the fact remains that American school hide the about 64 to close to 100 years when white people first brought blacks from Africa. It is shame that this country is worried about, or is that you don't want the world to see how evil and wicked you. The human rights violations are unmatched. This people has had the audacity to edit, critique the Word of God, and put their name, King James, on the cover. That is outrageous. If this government for white people was so holy, why haven't they ever showed the whole story? They hide behind lies, and this man, Master Fard Muhammad, APDTA, came and exposed them, white government. If you really want the truth, black people come to the lost, found Nation of Islam. Ask an NOI Muslim, we are still here. What is your response to this person?
He's right. Quite simply, he's right. And the grammatical errors, I'm sure, were not errors. They were on purpose. And he's right. We shouldn't have taken all the Africans from Africa, and we shouldn't have covered it up for 100 years. And we shouldn't have slapped King James' name on the Bible. The Americans did that. Shouldn't have done that.
You know what? I mean, I agree with what you've just said. Yes. Now, the next comment we have, W.D. Farid was not black, he's white. Elijah Muhammad was not black, he's mixed race. Farrakhan is not black, he's mixed race. Real black people are dark skinned and jet black. That African traits. Now, what is your response to this person?
Right. Well, the thing about black people is that they can have, different skin tones.
But according to this person whose profile picture is Darth Vader, if you are not jet black, you are white.
If you are not from the heart of the Congo, if you are not that one African warlord who is Vanta black in skin tone, you're not a real African. You're just another Yakubian devil.
Now, the next comment is from someone with a great username. It's called The Blackular. He said, well, I'm assuming it's he. I don't know. They said, black supremacy doesn't exist. As Nellie Fuller Jr. says, two supremes can't rule at the same time. Black fist emoji.
But he has a black fist emoji. Wait, is he being racist against white people or against black people?
I do not know. Someone responded with a 100 emoji, so he's got some support. Actually, this comment has 6 likes and a 100 emoji.
Shouldn't he have said white supremacy does not exist?
I don't know. I don't know what this means.
Maybe he just loves white people more than black people.
Is it? I can't tell. The next comment is from the 16 Black Meccas, 68. He said, with all due respect, many of our ancestors born around the turn of the century, they were very light in complexion. Now, I assume this is referring to how I said that Fard was probably not black. And this guy says, W.D. Fard, irregardless to what you think of him, we think the world of him. He did things for us that many claimed they wanted to, but were unable to. Please do not mock what you do not understand. This is our tradition, not a random philosophy. And that has 4 likes.
We are now months removed from that episode, and I don't remember a damn thing about it, so I'm just going to agree with the comments, and I think you need to apologize to them.
You're turning on me as usual.
That's what I do best.
I'm really just amused that we got actual members of the Nation in the comments.
Well, you're not doing your best to appease them, our new fan base that hates us again.
It's just like the old podcast.
Yeah, I wonder what the reviews look like for this one. Probably not good.
No. So Darth Vader responded to this guy, and he said, light-skinned people are not black. They mix race, that they genes, real black people are dark-skinned and jet black.
Right, as he said before.
Yes, and then
Just reiterating.
people are not happy with the Darth Vader guy. They're arguing with him. Someone named Dorian Artist jumps in and says the Quran and the Bible are very similar. If you read them, they're very similar. It's almost the same. And then that's pretty much it. But I wanted to respond to this and speak to the Naish and say that I appreciate your comments. You are all totally wrong about everything you said in the comments.
And I appreciate your comments, but I agree with everything you said. And my co-host is a Yakubian devil bastard man.
So there you go. You know, you win. They've got half the support of this podcast.
Good enough.
Now that we have that out of the way, so we're going to talk about Black Israelites, which is really much more relevant than the Nation of Islam. It is much more popular than the Naish. It's much bigger. Pretty famous Black celebrities have essentially said Black Israelite type stuff. Kanye obviously said that he considers himself to be Jewish.
I don't think he means it in the same way.
I don't know if he means it at all. He might just be trying to get attention, but that's sort of another topic.
Look, folks, he made graduation, so
other like famous Black people have basically said Black Israelite type stuff.
Oprah, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil's big into this.
Judge Mathis, Judge Joe Brown.
The Black Hebrew Israelites are not one. They're not one set group like the Naish. They're kind of a vague ideology that a bunch of different churches all sort of get behind. But it started with two guys. It started with two Black guys in the late 1800s named Frank Cherry and William Saunders Crowdy, who, totally independent from each other, within about 10 years of each other, both came out and said, I've had a vision from God. African Americans are descendants of the Jews from the Bible. They just both happened to have this same idea. They were just on the same wavelength. They never met each other or anything.
They never linked up.
It would have been probably the greatest link up of all time if Frank Cherry had met Crowder. But Cherry did not go to school, as most Black people could not at the time. But he claimed anyway to be able to read Hebrew and Yiddish from his own sort of self-education, because he could read. And he worked as a sailor, and this was when he said that he was a prophet and he had this vision while he was being a sailor. And he was also a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason.
And a black belt.
I don't know how high 33rd degree is. It sounds high.
I think the lower the number, the better, maybe.
Oh. Well, anyway, I think it's nice that the Masons let in Black people at that time.
The Masons are misunderstood, and that will be the next episode.
He was also in the Big Brothers organization, which I think that's like the funniest one to me. Imagining him mentoring a youth, and you know, what did you learn today at the Big Brothers? It's like, well,
I'm Jewish.
He told me I was Jewish.
I'm the real Jew.
But he moved to Tennessee in 1886, and he started his Black Israelite church, where he said, guys, we are the real Jews. Black people are the real Jews. By the way, white people are inherently evil and God hates them. Also, God hates Jews.
Oh, but wait, the black people Jews or the Jews?
The Jews, the Jewish Jews.
The fake ones.
Yeah, he hated them. He said God hated them. He also said the earth was square. I don't know how that really ties into all the Jewish stuff, but he was big into that.
Like a flat square or a cube?
Like a flat square plane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he also said that Jesus would be coming back in the year 2000 to start a race war against the crackers.
We must have missed that one.
Luckily, we missed that one.
Maybe he means the next 2000.
What is the next 2000?
I don't know. The one after this one.
He said that Jesus and God and Adam and Eve were all black. When Jesus came back, obviously the white man would be forced to admit that he was black because he'd be right in front of them. And he was a supporter of a much more well-known historical figure named Marcus Garvey, who was way more influential than Cherry or the other guy Crowder. And I wanted to talk about Marcus Garvey, not because he's really relevant to Black Israelite stuff, but because it was very funny to me what he got up to. And he was a contemporary of these guys, so he also was big in the late 1800s. He was a black celeb at the time.
He was the Will Smith of the 1800s.
And he was the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League.
UNICEF.
Exactly, UNICEF. So obviously that the name sounds good. That it has a nice name, and some of his ideas were good. He wanted to end European colonial rule in Africa. That's nice. Everyone can get behind that. He wanted to unite African Americans, such as himself, and Africans. Also nice. Nothing wrong with that. He also wanted Africa to become one giant country. Just starting to get a little weird.
It seems kind of hard to do that one.
Yeah, that's a tougher sell. And he wanted this one giant Africa country to be ruled by a single political party that he would personally control. And in fact, he declared himself to be the provisional president of Africa.
Right. How else would you do it? It makes sense to me.
So basically, he was hanging out in America, and he said, "I am now the president of Africa."
That's badass.
It is pretty badass. He told a historian who was writing about him, doing like a biography, he said that he and his followers were the original fascists, and that Mussolini copied fascism from him.
Not sure that's something you want to brag about, but all right.
But he bragged about it. He took credit for fascism. And so then, because Hitler, copied fascism and a lot of ideas from Mussolini, he was essentially taking credit for Hitler.
Yeah, Hitler copied me. I thought of it first.
He pretty much ripped me off.
But Cherry, he probably thought Hitler was pretty awesome, right?
I don't think Cherry would have liked Hitler, but Marcus Garvey may have liked Hitler. He was friends with the KKK in his time. He basically agreed with them about a lot. He said, yes, we should be separate. The races should be separate. And I agree, we should go back to Africa. Thank you, KKK. So this is kind of why Marcus Garvey he did not really get along with other black celebs of the time, because they did not like that.
He was doing a bit of a Kanye West.
He was truly the Kanye of his day. And he knew nothing about actual Africa. He'd never been to Africa. He did not speak any other languages. He just decided that he would rule Africa. And he did want people to move back to Africa, but not all African Americans. He only wanted the African Americans with the purest African blood to move back. And the rest could just stay and just go extinct. He didn't really care about the rest.
Seems like a common theme with our black episodes is that literally every figure we talk about hates mixed Africans.
Yeah, these people do not tend to have high opinions of mixed race people, white people, Jews, or pretty much anyone else. He also, apparently he would go around speaking in like ye olden King's English when he would do his speeches and things.
Was it actually ye olden King's English, or was it what he guesses was ye olden King's English?
That's a good question. But people said that he would talk in like an old-timey English diction.
What if he was just a reverse time traveler?
I think he could plausibly be called a time traveler by people on the internet.
Let's get it going.
You know, actually, what kind of lends to your time travel theory is that he was a antiquing enthusiast, and his house was full of like white people artifacts.
White people artifacts?
Yeah, like he didn't collect like African stuff. He collected like ye olden white people antiques,
like arrowheads and fine china.
Yeah, stuff. He was into stuff like that.
All the best white people artifacts.
That was kind of a detour. He didn't really have anything to do with Black Israelites, but I wanted to mention him mostly because I liked that he said he was the president of Africa, despite having never been there.
I feel like most people in the 1800s had some sort of wacky life and wacky claim.
That's true. Whenever there's like a historical figure from the 1800s, they always had a pretty wild life.
Like James Rudolph Candy, the inventor of Pepsi, was also known to behead children regularly, and the government of Arizona at the time regularly provided children for him to behead. This was normal at the time.
He was one of 8 siblings, all of whom died before he was 18.
He also had 7 more children with his own mother.
It is always stuff like that. So the other guy who simultaneously had the idea for Black Israelites, Crowdy, William Saunders Crowdy, was born into slavery, and he worked as a cow milker on a plantation, and he was also an overseer of other slaves, a stable boy, and a tobacco dryer. So he had quite the slave resume.
I don't know if you want to say that.
Well, hold on, because he did later have an actual job that was relevant because he escaped. He escaped from slavery. He said, "This sucks. I'm going to leave." And then he became a cook in the Union Army because he said, "I'm going to make food for people who don't want to enslave me instead." And even though he was just a cook, he participated in the capture of a Confederate flour wagon that was being smuggled into Virginia. This was the peak of his military career.
What the hell is a flour wagon?
Like, there's a wagon full of flour.
That's not a military achievement.
Yeah, it is. He denied the Confederacy bread making materials.
Oh no, the hardtack. Oh,
yes. This is a good achievement.
That's lame.
No, this guy escaped. This guy escaped from slavery. He captured a flour wagon. He was crushing it.
I feel like I respected him more before you said he captured a flour wagon. Like, being a cook was fine to me.
No, he was doing great. Then later, after the military, was when he had his visions and he started his church. And people said that his behavior, like in person, was very strange. He was known for, like, sort of spacing out for long periods of time, and like he wouldn't know when people were talking to him, and then he would suddenly just kind of come back to it. So like you'd be talking to him, and he would just kind of be staring off into the distance, and he'd be like, what? Anyway, I'm Jewish.
He was schizophrenic and dissociative.
That's entirely possible. So those were the founders, but it's still around today, and there are a bunch of like other groups that are not directly connected to these 2 people. So there were the Commandment Keepers.
That's a sick name.
I know. I literally put in my note. Well, an intern put in my notes. They have the sickest name, and it's too bad they aren't around anymore. Because sadly, they fell apart when the original founder, he turned over control to his son, but his son was only 16. So they kind of fell apart after that, and everyone like sued each other, and it was just a mess after this dumbass kid took over.
I was gonna say, it sounds like they would carry swords with a name like Commandment Keepers, but if they're just gonna go ahead and sue each other after they break up, that doesn't seem like sword carrying behavior to me.
It is pretty lame. But yeah, it sounds like they should be like guarding like a a chamber.
Some sort of glowing tome.
The other people I will bring out specifically are the African Hebrew Israelites in Israel. They obviously do not have as good of a name, but what they lack in name, they make up for in being the most hardcore. They were founded by Ben Amni Ben Israel. This was a name he gave himself, obviously, in Chicago in 1966. And Ben, which I'll just call him Ben, he had 4 wives and 25 children throughout the course of his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doing it Nick Cannon style.
And he was also intent on leaving the country, just like Marcus Garvey was.
Let me guess, he went to Israel.
Not yet. First, he did later. First, he went to Liberia in 1969. And him and his church, they did not get along with the Liberians at all. And they got like diseases that they didn't have immunity for, and a bunch of them died. And so they returned to America and they said, Liberia sucks. We're Jews. We're going to Israel. And so they all moved to Israel for real and lived there.
What year was this?
Well, they didn't all move at once, but in the, like, throughout the late 60s and the 70s, they all moved there.
Back when it was really popping off.
Yeah.
I mean,
back when Israel was like...
still popping off.
Yes, but also a wild time to move to Israel. And so they tried to become citizens under the law of return, which is an Israeli policy where if you are actually Jewish, you can move back to Israel and become a citizen. But the Israeli government looked at all these black Americans and they said, no, you are not Jewish. You're delusional. You are not ethnically Jewish. You're also not really religiously Jewish. You like made up this weird thing. So no, you can't be citizens.
You keep calling us Yakubian devils.
And so Ben, the founder, he kind of soured on Israel a little bit. And he said, quote, "The greatest conspiracy ever conceived in the minds of men was the creation of a national homeland for Jewish people." So obviously he was pissed about Israel at the time.
Because he was rightly denied.
Yes. I mean, that sounds like a quote from, whoever like the head of Hamas is. This guy hated Israel. They could not get work permits. They could not get like welfare from the government. They could not get any sort of like benefits and like health stuff. And so they accused the Israeli government of racist discrimination. But that didn't get them anywhere because Israel doesn't really care about that.
Are they still there?
Yes, they are still there.
Oh, then they're probably, citizens now with work permits and all that, unless they've been assholes this entire time.
They are not official citizens, not all of them, but they have been granted something. They have like a special thing. Yeah, they have something called permanent residency. So Israel basically says all of you weirdos can live here, but you cannot be citizens. And there have been like throughout them living there, there's been like weird controversies where like some of them have gotten deported for like illegally working and stuff. But nowadays they basically all get along. They have even represented Israel twice in Eurovision.
Oh, I wanna hear those songs.
So as proof of how well they get along now, this is Black Israelite Eddie Butler singing for Israel with his group at 1999 Eurovision. The song is called Happy Birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. This is a banger. This is good. Are you feeling this?
The 1999 one, no. The 2006 one is much better.
Oh, really?
Because it's basically just black gospel music. Which
play the 2006 one.
Yeah.
Let's hear that one. Do you have it?
What?
Do you have that one?
What are you asking me for?
Play the 2006 one.
I'm listening to it. I don't know what you want from me. I feel like maybe it was cheating to send to them.
like Israel, they basically just got to send like American black people to Eurovision.
Yeah.
That is basically cheating, yeah.
I mean, it's good they only did it 2 times, but
but yeah, as you can see, they basically get along with the Israeli government now. They're singing, they got Happy Birthday, they got the other song. And Ben, eventually he kind of came around on Israel and he started to hate more on the Palestinians. And he had this to say about the Palestinians. Our studies and experience have shown that the present-day inhabitants of this region are not the original people of the land. The majority of those today, defined by modern historians as Arabs, are veritably the descendants of European crusaders. So his big theory was that Palestinians were actually white Europeans.
Okay, we're just we're just like race swapping everybody then. That's cool.
Yeah, kind of like the Nation of Islam. They're race swapping all over the place.
I mean, I guess that's better than just race swapping one of them.
Well, mix and match.
Yeah, if you're like, well, everybody's the wrong race, then it's like, oh, okay, you have some grand theory here.
It's equality.
The Chinese people, those aren't the real Chinese. The real Chinese are in South America.
So this is sort of the history of the Black Israelites. This is what they were up to. Now, unfortunately, it is not all funny anecdotes with the Black Israelites. They are a bit more violent than the Nation of Islam. And in 1974, a Black Israelite killed Martin Luther King Jr.'s mom.
Yeah, that's not very funny at all.
No, I didn't even know that she died. I mean, I didn't know that she was murdered.
Everybody dies.
But the murderer was originally going to kill Jesse Jackson, who he also hated. But then at the last second, he changed his mind and then went after her instead. Maybe because she was an easier target or something. But that was like the first big murder they had. And then in 2019, just a couple years ago, there were a pair of Black Israelites who shot a couple Jewish people at a Jewish grocery store in New Jersey and then died in a firefight with the cops. So the Black Israelites have not been that funny lately. There's there's all the funny like street preaching videos. Those are funny. Other incidents less funny. Also in 2019, just a couple of weeks after the grocery store incident, another Black Israelite broke into a rabbi's house during Hanukkah and attacked a bunch of Jewish people with a machete, and one guy died.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was a pretty big news story at the time, and he was schizophrenic and off his meds.
I mean, yeah, you said he was a Black Israelite.
Well, he was both. He was a schizophrenic Black Israelite.
It's kind of redundant, don't you think?
And then the most recent, well, I guess
the guy who assassinated Shinzo Abe, he was a Black Israelite, Japanese man.
That would have been funny. Well, not funny, not like funny, but it would
not haha funny.
Yeah. So the other like notable incident that was secretly caused by Black Israelites. Do you remember the whole thing with like the kid who had like the MAGA hat on, and then the Indian guy with the drum?
Yeah.
So that whole incident, which was like a major national incident at the time, that was like secretly caused by Black Israelites. Have you heard of this?
What do you mean caused? Do you think he was a plant?
No, but the reason that incident occurred was because so the kids from the school were there, and like the MAGA hat kid was there, and then Black Israelites happened to be there as well, doing their usual like street preaching and like yelling at people who passed by. So they went over and they started talking to the kids. They were pretty funny. They called them future school shooters,
Oh no,
which is kind of
I do
funny.
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, and so like women would try to talk to them, and they would say like, "Where's your husband? Like we can't talk to you." Um, and so then the kids, in response, started to do one of their school cheers, which first of all, like nerd emoji, that's your response. But then the cheer they did, it sounded like a Native American like chant. And so the Native Americans who happened to be there were like, "Hey, these kids are making fun of us. Like what the hell is this?" And so the Native American dudes went over there, and that sparked the whole incident. And the Black Israelites just left. They're just agents of chaos.
I don't think that means they caused that whole thing. They were just
Well, they did.
they didn't incite it. They didn't go to the Indian guy and be like, "Hey, you hear what they're doing? Go get them."
They didn't purposefully incite it, yes, but they were the spark.
I do remember the Black Israelites talking to them and talking to the women and saying, "Where's your husband?" I remember that.
Yeah, that was probably maybe the biggest news incident involving the Black Israelites until recently, really recently. This was in November. A Palestinian lady was really mad about Israel, and so she crashed her car into a Israelite school of universal practical knowledge, thinking that it was actual Jews, but it turned out to just be Black Israelites.
Oh, yeah, I guess with a name like that.
Yeah, so she accidentally just crashed her car into this Black Israelite building, and the Black Israelites, I mean, they also hate Israel. So it was kind of like friendly fire.
Wait, I thought they hate Palestinians. Or was it
Well,
just that one organization?
Yeah, the Universal Practical Knowledge people. They hate Israel.
So they were like, fair game. Honest mistake.
We respect what you're doing. Please don't crash a car into us again. They have another like sort of ongoing controversy in Washington D.C. in this one neighborhood where residents are always trying to get them in trouble for like volume laws, because in this area you can only make public noise at a certain decimal level. Decibel, yes. So they're always trying to get the Black Israelites kicked out. And the Black Israelites say, these people are coming after us not because of the volume, but it's because of the content of our message, which is just them calling them, white devils and crackers and stuff.
I think it's because of the volume.
That's what the residents say. The residents say, no, it's not because they're calling us white devils. It's the volume we have a problem with. That pretty much covers it for the Black Israelites. But what an intern discovered and wrote down for me was that there is a white people version of all of this. There are also white people who claim to be descended from Jews that actually predates the Black Israelites, called British Israelism.
What?
Yeah, British people got in on this too. So the idea of British Israelism is that British people are descended from the 10 lost tribes of Israel. And this really took off kind of around the same time in the late 1800s, but it weirdly like predates Black Israelites, because there was like weird people in Britain who were into this like all the way back in like the 1600s.
But like you would know that you're not Jewish though.
Well, you'd think. Wait, what do you mean?
I don't know, I'm just confused.
I mean, isn't this equally confusing as...
Okay, well, the Black Israelites one is just funny, because it's like, skin tone. probably not Jewish. Especially
Yeah.
if you hate race mixing, and if you're just a pure African, you're most definitely not Jewish. But for ye olden British people, don't they have like, records for that?
That's true. Yeah, you'd think white people would be able to actually trace their ancestry back without the whole slavery thing interrupting it.
Especially since before World War II and like the 1800s and all that, Jewish people were not treated well like anywhere. So it's like, you'd know if you're Jewish.
Yeah. I mean, this you're applying too much logic to British Israelism, I'm afraid. But that did not stop them from getting real into this. And it made like the national news in the UK when a bunch of them dug up parts of the Hill of Tara because they believed that the Ark of the Covenant might be buried there. And so they damaged what is considered to be a very important archaeological site in Ireland by doing this.
Did they think Ireland is real?
Well, yeah, basically, yes. And so Irish people were really pissed off by this. And an Irish writer named William Bulfin wrote, "Men have been sent to prison for less, but in Ireland there is no plank bed and hardtack for such offenders. They sleep upon the safest mattresses in the country and feed on the fat of the land." So this guy anyway wanted these fake Jewish people locked up.
Fair.
And another Irish writer named R.A.S. McAllister wrote that the British Israelites were so utterly removed from normal sanity that piety, rather than ridicule, should be accorded to those who have been infected with it.
Oh, so it's like, treat them with kid gloves. They're retarded.
Yeah, he's like, I pity these people. They're such idiots.
Don't be mad. Be gentle. They're stupid.
Yeah, he said, I can't even get mad. The British Israel people, they also believed that the pyramids contained secret prophecies that would predict the future of Britain.
Of Britain specifically.
Yes.
Great.
But they did not really have the resources to go like dig up the pyramids. So they dug up some Irish stuff and then they kind of moved on. This is a really niche thing today. Like it was a fad for a while, but now it's like barely anyone is a British Israelite. I assume it's just like a handful of ancient like British aristocrats sitting around somewhere in like abandoned mansions who still think this.
I think British speech laws probably stopped them, if I had to guess.
That could get in the way. You might get hit with a hate crime charge if you go around saying I am Jewish and Jewish people are fake Jewish.
I'm the real Jew. Israel is actually Ireland. Egypt has future scrolls for Britain specifically.
This is an example of some of the weird like logic they used. But this is genuinely how all their stuff goes. So in the Bible, you have Isaac, who was going to be sacrificed. You have Jewish Isaac. So then the Saxons are descended from Isaac because they have similar sounding names. Isaac, Saxon, Sax, sons, Isaac's sons.
Wow.
They said those are the Saxons. And you also have the tribe of Dan. That's one of the lost tribes, is the tribe of Dan. So they said Denmark, more like Danmark. So the Danish people are Jews. And then basically any word that's like that, they would just put into this. So they said the Dardanelles, the Danube, Macedonia, Dunkirk,
Dankirk.
London, more like London. And that's basically all the evidence. Is just weird stuff like that. No, actually, this sort of infected America in like two ways. Early on, it got to America via the Mormons, because Mormon missionaries traveled to Britain around this time, and they got really into it, to the point where this had like a fairly big influence on Mormonism. And when they came back, Mormons sort of got into this whole idea, and they were like, yeah, we're kind of like descendants of like Israel, and we're like Mormons are all like Anglos.
Yeah, they didn't let in non-Anglos until couple decades ago.
Yeah, they were not huge on actual Jews and black people.
Part of their creation myth is that black people did not. They sat out the whole Great War, so they were cursed with black skin. Not that they were evil; they just they didn't want to fight.
They were punished for their pacifism.
Yeah,
Mormons also have like weird beliefs about the lost Jewish tribes. They say that the lost Jewish tribes moved to America,
Native Americans,
and became Native Americans and Polynesians.
The Polynesians are Jewish now?
Yeah.
Damn.
So there's another group that is just secretly Jewish, according to some weirdos. And then British Israelism basically spawned the American version, which continued all the way up to today, but kind of the heyday of it was kind of in like the 90s. Something called Christian identity, which is basically just white people in America saying, we're the real Jews. And these people are basically all just like Nazis, which is less fun.
Oh, you're not talking about white women who are like 9% Jewish and they're like, I'm the real Jew, free Palestine.
No, we're talking about like just random like bumpkins being like, I'm Jewish, I'm the real Jews, also I'm like a Nazi.
I'm Jewish, but I hate Jews because I'm the real one here in Appalachia.
Yeah, they're basically the white version of the Black Israelites, is the Christian identity people. And really, probably the most notable Christian identity incident was the person, the Ruby Ridge guy. I don't remember his name. I didn't write it down.
Chris Dorner.
Chris, like Mr. Ridge.
Mr.
Ridge
Ruby Ridge Wallet.
Ruby, yeah, he was like kind of associated with Christian identity
Ted Kaczynski
nonsense. Not don't drag him into this.
Let's just group them all together.
Now, the cutting edge of the Black Israelites today, the tip of the spear, is of course TikTok and social media, where you can find all sorts of these people around. We will play. First, we'll play this guy because this guy also, I think, is typical of like broader trends in TikTok conspiracy videos. So we'll play him first.
Apparently, the Arab world, right? All the Arabs and the pastors had a meeting, and they clarified that we in North America, only, are the 12 tribes of Israel. And I have the letter. Now, the letter was sent to this brother because they couldn't trust all the other civil rights leaders and the church leaders, and he the one put it out there. As you can see, the Arab world leader sent Pastor Omar the letter. Go watch it.
All right, I won't play the whole thing, but you get the idea. This is sort of a side note. This is like the TikTok conspiracy meta. Basically, what you have is like yourself as like a little floating head that moves around the screen, and you say something ridiculous. You're like, "Hey, black people are the real Jews." Then you say like, "Oh, but I got the receipts," and you bring up a totally unrelated thing, and then you just tie it into your point somehow. And act like you're just completely right. So the letter he's talking about was just this letter from these like Arab leaders saying that like the people in Israel aren't Jewish, like today, which is sort of another conspiracy for another day. But basically, that is the TikTok meta. There's videos like this for pretty much everything, and for some reason this drives me crazy. I want to go back to like the good old days of like a YouTube video with like spooky music that would play and like a History Channel sounding narrator would come in.
They do that too.
They do have spooky music. I do like that.
I want to say though that if you do search like Black Hebrews, Black Israelites on TikTok, it actually is mostly Black people saying stuff against Black Israelite, Black Hebrew type stuff. So I think that's good. There is a lot of negative 2000 IQ videos on TikTok, but there are also people fighting back.
Yes, I think on this issue, like sane people vastly outnumber the insane people. It's safe to say. Here is one insane person. This person is not black. This is a Yakubian speaking on this issue.
A white woman.
What is going on? Why do you think that the U.S. is so quick to go help Israel fight against the Palestinians? Why?
The Palestinians.
They know that the Jewish people in Israel are not the original people. Oh, no. They are definitely not. The original people are black people and people of color. So why did one lady, Judith Shore, she was the Israeli consul, say that the biggest threat in Israel is the younger black community?
I just like that she calls them Palestines. I think they should start going by that instead of Palestinians. It has a nice ring to it.
Ooh, you know what the Palestinians should do?
What?
We're the real Jews.
They should get in on this?
Yeah.
They might have enough problems without getting into this. Here is a man who, he's a Black Israelite, but he's bringing more to the table here, which is why I want to play this video as well.
In 1840, Dr. Morton was trying to find out the racial origin of the so-called Negroes that were in America in slavery. So he got together with the Egyptologists, which supplied him with the mummy heads, and what he did was conduct an extensive research on the cranial remains of the heads in Egypt, in contrast to the cranial remains of the heads in America. And what he found out is that the Negroes that were in slavery were not Africans. He found out that the skulls were two totally different types of skulls. The Negro's head was longer than the Egyptian head. The physical characteristics from the outside look similar, with the thick lips and the broad nose. But once you start delving into the real characteristics, he found out that there were two totally different people, as abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact, blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. But what Dr. Morton did discover is that the Negroes that were serving slavery in America served the same position in servitude in ancient Egypt when they matched other skulls and other cranial remains in Egypt. They said these are exact matches. So what are the scholars saying? What you're going to find out is that they're saying that you are the biblical Israelites. Yes, you're the same exact people that served slavery in the land of Egypt.
So sadly, what the listeners cannot see, because this is a podcast, is that guy, throughout the video, he takes his glasses on and off, kind of like Nick Cage does in National Treasure.
As a way to, like, enunciate his point.
Yeah. And the other thing I like is that, he's saying, we measured the skulls. We've confirmed all of this with skull measurements.
Just casual phrenology.
He's a phrenologist. But he himself is bald and has like a weirdly shaped head.
Yeah. He's got like a cone head. He's got like a lump on the top.
I don't think he could be classified as black or Jewish. He's like a new race. He's like an alien or something.
But what he's talking about is he's saying that the Jewish people who were slaves in the Bible were they weren't Jews, they were Africans, because it's the same skulls as African slaves in America.
But I want to know, like, what would a phrenologist say about this guy's head?
I don't know,
he has a wild skull shape.
He's got like a mass.
I think he should research his own skull.
Have you seen that big fish, the like lump-headed wrasse or whatever? You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Okay, now this is the final video I'll play. And this video, I'm not so much playing this because he's a Black Israelite. I'm not really playing this for, we're wrapping up our Black Israelite episode here. I'm playing this because this is my message to our Black Israelite and Nation of Islam listeners. He captures what I want to say to you guys. So just listen to this man.
White people, y'all beef is not with us. We didn't lie to y'all and tell y'all that the Bible belonged to y'all. It wasn't us, all right? Don't blame us, okay? We had no clue the Bible was about us, right? The devil lied to y'all and told y'all it was y'all book when it's not, right? So now that we know the truth, y'all can't be mad at us.
What I'm trying to say here is, don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at us. I'm not the one who told you that you were Jewish. I didn't tell you to get tricked by random dudes from the 1800s who had visions and were in the Big Brothers, and stuff like that. Don't get mad at me. I'm saying I want to end the video with that guy's same message, which is essentially, don't get mad at me. I'm not the one who tricked you.
The devil tricked you.
Yes. So in the comments,
the Yacubian devil.
I don't want to see angry comments this time because I didn't trick you. Be mad at Cherry and Crowder, random 1800s dudes. Okay.
Should we cap this off with some slam poetry?
If you have some locked and loaded, ready to go, then
I know. I'm just saying.
Down.
Let's just do it off the dome. I'll say 2 words. You say 2 words. I'm gonna do that a couple times. Okay.
Okay.
Black Israelites.
Don't mad.
Truth taken.
Yakub present.
Ireland. Denmark.
Tribe. Dan.
Damn. Tribe. All right, that's it.
That's a good ending. You really closed it well with that, I think. See, I hope that I think we're going to make a lot of allies with this.
We're going to make a lot of money off this one. A lot of allies. We're going to sell a lot of ad space.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be able to click away. There's going to be too many adware viruses on your computer.
That's all I have to say. Do you have any closing thoughts about the Black Israelites?
We will never talk about Black people ever again on this podcast. I swear to you.
Thank you. Good night. Goodbye.